News. Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. The Cabinet's been told the election will be held on Saturday the 8th of February. Gardaí are working to identify remains found in a bag in Coolock in Dublin. A large-scale programme for traveller accommodation has been approved for Waterford. And in sport, the sports minister is to meet with a senior UEFA delegation to discuss the financial crisis at the FAI. The general election is expected to be formally called this afternoon, with a 32nd Dáil being dissolved. Polling day is going to be on Saturday the 8th of February. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe.
The 32nd Dáil will come to a close this afternoon, with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar to travel to Orsán Uachtaráin to meet the President. He'll ask Michael D Higgins to dissolve the Dáil and to allow an election to happen on Saturday, February 8th. The date caught many by surprise. It's rare elections are held at a weekend, although some think it may be to avoid making people take a day off to mind the children sent home when schools are closed on a Friday. Though Ireland are due to play Wales in Rugby's Six Nations that day, something that may draw more interest than heading to the polls. The election has fully kicked off, even though we await the formal announcement here at government buildings. The Taoiseach's own election posters have started going up in Dublin West, despite that being illegal until everything's official. Press releases have been flying in, candidates making final decisions and campaign videos being posted. It's a massive 3 weeks for politicians around the country, all hoping to make it into the next government. Sean Defoe, Government Buildings.
So who are the candidates that will be running in Waterford so far? Mary Butler topped the poll for Fianna Fáil in 2016. She'll be joined on the ticket by party colleague Councillor Eddie Mulligan. Sinn Féin's David Cullinane took the second seat and is his party's sole candidate. Fine Gael has two first-timers, Councillors Damien Geoghegan and John Cummins. Marco Colsick is the Green Party representative, while John Pratt is running for Labour. Una Dunphy is People Before Profit's candidate, while the Workers' Party are yet to reveal their nominee. There'll be at least three independents: sitting councillor Matt Shanahan, health campaigner Bernadette Phillips and former Fianna Fáil European candidate Kieran Hartley. Waterford Minister of State John Halligan has yet to declare his intentions. Meanwhile, Matt Shanahan says he can't rule out joining Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil. He told Damien Tiernan on Daisha Today that he has to do what's best for Waterford.
I will align my support with wherever, and I would like to do that as an independent, OK? But I think people need to understand how politics is done. So supposing that Fianna Fáil came to me and said, will you run as a Fianna Fáil candidate? Will you join the party? And if I say, will you give me 24/7 and €20 million more to the UHW hospital budget? Will you give me the reinstatement of budgets to WIT in order to make it on par with UL? And they say, yes, I will. Well, should I then turn around and say, well, no, I can't do that because I need to stay independent. I'm here trying to get something done for the city and county. People need to understand it's not an either-or situation.
Dublin City Council says its litter wardens are currently dealing with election posters that have been put up early. Each poster put up before an election date is subject to a €150 fine. A number of posters with the Taoiseach's face on them appeared in Leo Varadkar's own constituency this morning. Gardaí are working to identify remains found in a bag in Coolock in Dublin. The discovery was made by a local resident late last night, as Casey O'Riordan reports.
At 10 p.m. last night, 2 arms and 2 legs were found in a bag which had been dumped outside houses at the junction of Moatview Gardens and Moatview Drive. The scene was secured overnight, and this morning it was examined by the Garda Technical Bureau. These people live just metres away from where the grim discovery was made.
I'm not shocked. It's not around here now. I think this is probably the third or the fourth. Is it the third one this year? It's gone like a no-go area around here, you know.
All I can say, whatever whose remains, God love the family, that's all I can say, you know. It's shocking, it is shocking.
Gardaí are looking at the possibility that the victim is a drug dealer who had been threatened with being killed and dismembered. They're also examining recent missing persons reports. Senator Aodhán Ó Ríordáin visited the scene earlier.
And I would suggest that if this happened in anywhere else in the country, 6 murders in the last 7 months, that we would have a different response.
Gardaí have so far been unable to confirm the sex of the victim. They're appealing to anyone who has any concerns for a loved one who they've not heard from in the last number of days to contact them. Casey O'Riordan in Coolock.
A large-scale programme for traveller accommodation has been approved for Waterford. The plans received approval from councillors and project that over 100 new and existing households will be homed over the next 5 years. Latest council figures show there are over 220 traveller families across Waterford City and County. Fianna Fáil's John O'Leary is the chairman of Waterford's Traveller Accommodation Committee. He says previous efforts have been embarrassing.
In reality, there has been very little traveller-specific accommodation provided by this council over the last 10 years. And in the last council, I was a member of that Traveller Accommodation Committee as well. It was almost embarrassing, I suppose, to say that we made very, very little progress in that particular time. We need to deliver the proposed accommodation to provide for the needs of the travelling community in Waterford and to improve the quality of the existing accommodation.
Independent Joe Kelly was the only councillor to vote against the programme. He pointed to the inclusion of accommodation, which was rejected last November.
Proposal here for a 7-bay holding site with day house at Carrickferrish in 2020 is what the first line of the thing says. That was already voted against for what it was worth because it's just considered way over the top by the people in that area. The overcrowding up there exists. This plan is only, in my view, going to be accepted merely because it's a legal requirement by the government. But we have to be far more in terms of implementing the rules and regulations that they apply to travellers as well, because I see no exceptions. Everyone should be treated equally.
A taxi driver who was injured in last night's shooting in Drogheda, County Louth, says he was going to bring his daughter to work with him but changed his mind. John Miles wasn't the intended target of the shooting, which took place on the Bridge of Peace in the town centre shortly after 6 o'clock. He was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and was only released this morning. Speaking to LMFM, Mr Miles has appealed to those involved in the ongoing feud in the area to stop.
I was going to bring my daughter last night with me because she comes out to me on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. And I said, no, I'll go back around and collect you. She could have been in the back of that car. And that's going through my head. That's in my head, the whole. Just stop it. Just stop. Enough's enough.
The director of a walk-in medical centre in Waterford says people are waiting up to 2 weeks for an appointment with their GP. Dr 365 set up in Ardkeen a year ago and opens 7 days a week until 9 at night. Dr Abdul Rashid, one of the directors, says there was a need in the community for a service like theirs.
You don't have to go through the hassle of ringing, booking the appointments and then waiting, and particularly if you're, say, acutely sick, like having high-grade fever. You want to be seen straight away rather than being told that you can come after 2 days and you will be looked after. We got a great response from the community, actually. The people are very happy, and the best thing is open every day. Second, long hours, over the weekend even, 365 days, and you just walk in and present yourself.
A Waterford restaurateur says he's completely against potential mandatory posting of calories on menus. The government plans to require calorie information to be displayed in restaurants, cafes, takeaways and bars where food's served. The Department of Health says the objective is to empower customers to make informed choices about the food they consume. Jamie Dowling, owner and head chef of Loco restaurant in Ardkeen, says the plans are unworkable.
It's not good for the industry, it's not good for small restaurants. It's just another hurdle we're coming up against. I think it would really only suit the large corporations, your McDonald's, your Supermacs, places like that, where they can roll it out nationwide. But for a small creative restaurant like ourselves, it will stymie creativity and it'll stop us trying to change and put on new dishes.
And people's level of happiness reaches their lowest point when they're 47. A new study shows high levels of happiness at age 16, but declining after that. It's believed the findings may be linked with people's disappointment about where they are in life and becoming more realistic about their achievements. However, Brendan Kelly, Professor of Psychiatry in Trinity College, says happiness levels do increase again later in life.
As you go through your 50s, these burdens start to lift a little bit, and if you retain your health, if you remain in reasonably good health, you'll become happier as the decades go by and as you get older.
WLR Sport.
Starting with soccer, where a 4-person UEFA delegation will meet Minister for Sport Shane Ross and officials from his department in Dublin this afternoon to discuss the financial crisis at the FAI. They're also expected to hold talks with the FAI's main creditor, Bank of Ireland, who owed around €29 million. Minister Ross last week insisted that government funding would not be restored to the association without conditions around their governance. Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he has no update to give on their pursuit of Bruno Fernandes. United are reportedly in talks with Sporting Lisbon about a deal for the midfielder. Solskjaer, who insists the club have funds to spend on the right players this window, was tight-lipped when asked about the potential transfer.
I've got no transfer updates, so that's no. If we get something that we can tell you about, we will, but I've got no news now.
3 Premier League sides look to avoid shock exits to lower league opposition tonight in their FA Cup third-round replays. Last year's finalists Watford travel to Tranmere. Tottenham host Middlesbrough, while Newcastle entertain a Rochdale team managed by Cork's Brian Murphy. While in Gaelic games, Wexford football manager Paul Galvin insists he's not closing the door on any players in the county. The former All-Ireland winner with Kerry opted to drop Daithí Waters and Michael Furlong and Kevin O'Grady, and Tiernan Rossiter have since decided to leave the panel. Galvin says he felt change was needed when he took the job.
The thing needed a shake-up, I felt. I did think, I looked at it, listen, I've looked at years of footage. You see, people probably think I came down and made rash decisions. Like, I really didn't. I based my decisions on years of games, years of championship games, years of National League, county championship, and the training I was seeing in front of my eyes, So, what can you do? You get on with it. These things happen, I guess, and you just need to toughen and time will tell. Time will tell, I guess.
That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin is at 2.